Welcome to Reno Radio. I'm your host, Naomi Findlay, Australia's renovation royalty. My podcast is all about real advice for renovating, designing beautiful spaces, tradie advice, and my weather to wonderful passion, where we interview amazing rural property owners who are turning their spaces from weathered to wonderful with great design and great renos. Creating beautiful spaces doesn't have to be hard. In fact, it can be one of the most rewarding things you ever do. So, join me and my impressive list of guests each week for plenty of feel-good, inspiring, and real advice. This is Reno Radio.
Today we have the owner, proprietor, and the woman of the homestead, Margit from Cressy House Estate. Welcome to the podcast, Margit.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Oh, I'm very excited to have you here because I tell you what, I found you on Instagram and I'm in love with your Instagram. I tell you, it's just such a good advertisement of what I would get to experience there.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, we do love the good old Instagram.
Absolutely. Now tell me, you're down in Tasmania, right? You're down in Longford.
Yes, so we're practically 6 kilometres south of Longford, between Longford and Cressy, which is in the northern Midlands of Tasmania.
Okay, so literally, which airport are you closest to?
Yeah, so we're about 20 minutes drive from Launceston Airport. So we're pretty much the first destination where people like to go and stay before they go on to their venture around Tassie, or also, the last day before they head back home and, head to the airport.
That's kind of a great position to be in.
Yes, definitely.
So tell me, at the moment, I know that you've mentioned that you obviously have accommodation there, you have farm stays there. Can you walk me through, just for the people listening that maybe haven't discovered the Cressy House Estate farm stay yet, what are I guess the income earning capacities at Cressy House Estate?
Yeah, sure. So pretty much Cressy House Estate farm stay is part of the original homestead. We've pretty much converted one part of our homestead, which we also live in, and converted it into an apartment. The history came by my partner's, my husband's grandmother. She actually used to rent it out for the odd farm stay, for the odd fishermen. They would like to come on our farm's river and do a bit of fishing. So it was actually, the apartment was already there. We just needed to renovate it and make it look, a lot nicer. We had holes in the walls, in the ceilings. The carpet was all orange, so we decided to do it up and see how it would how it would go about. And to be honest,
so your mother-in-law had people stay years and years and years ago.
Yeah, no, sorry, not my mother-in-law, my husband's grandmother. Yeah,
wow.
She had people stay. And a friend of mine actually sent me a few photos of a friend she knew from the mainland in Australia, who actually used to stay at Cressy House Estate farm stay. So I saw these old photos back from the 70s. Yeah.
So how old is the estate? How old is the main homestead?
The homestead is from 1827. Yeah. And it's been in my husband's family since 1914.
And so since your husband's family moved there, what has been sort of the history of the farm? Was it a primary producing farm? Is it still now? Like, I know that you have the farm stays so people can come and stay and experience it. Is it still a working farm at the moment?
It's still very much a working farm. We have 5,000 breeding ewes on the farm. We also crop 1,000 hectares. We grow anywhere between 9 and 11 different crops throughout the year. So the guests that come here can very much experience everything hands-on. We often encourage, if a crop is being harvested or drilled or sowed, we actually tell them where to go, what to see, tell them to go down to the river, go for a swim. We've even had people going for, a nudie-roody swim in the middle of winter, and they've loved it.
That'd be fresh.
Go and explore the bees. We've got bees on the farm, so, there's very much to see, yeah.
And so when did the idea come about? Because you are a true full-blown large-scale working farm. When did the idea come about that you wanted to take it that next step and diversify, I guess, the income that you could generate from it? When did that happen and trigger for you guys?
Sure. So we have 3 young boys ourselves. They're now aged 4, 7, and nearly turning 9.
Wow.
So I was a stay-at-home mum, and I sort of started thinking I'd like to do something else than just, not only just being a mum, but also, work within something else. And the idea came that we needed to do our house up, and the house is just so big, and we never really used the other end of the house. And because I knew it was once a farm stay, I sort of thought, why don't we do that flat up and see if we can actually get some people to come and stay? And, that's how the idea sort of arose, yeah.
And did then you do that on your own? Did you go, right, this is my idea, I'm going to get cracking. I've got little kids at home and I can do this.
So we did actually contact the local builder from Longford, Jamie Goss, and he came out and he was great. He has an excellent, amount of work, builders underneath him, and together they came out. Myself, my husband, of course, is too busy on the farm, but myself and another Danish girl that was visiting our farm at the time, we helped in the demolishing part of it. But the rest we sort of left to the expertise. But Jamie was great. He talked us through everything. So we sort of had a good input in whatever happened to the apartment. But the interior style of it, I of course did by myself. And my background's Danish, so I have brought a few Scandinavian pieces into it, but also valued a few of the original wooden, beautiful old wooden pieces of furniture in it as well.
And so now, if I understand right, so you live in the main homestead with your beautiful family.
Yes, that's correct.
And do your husband's family live on the homestead as well still?
Yes. So we have here on this property, we've got around 3 houses. So the main homestead and 2 other cottages. On another farm, we've got another 2 houses, and up on a third farm, we have another house as well. But
wow.
On this actual farm here, we live in the main homestead together on and off with our guests that come and stay. And also my parents-in-law are just, 300 metres away from us. So, very close. Our kids can just run down if they want to visit Gran and Pop. And,
Oh, that's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great.
And so you mentioned plenty of other houses. Are they all housing farm stays as well, or is that part of the vision?
Well, the idea could have come up, a couple of years ago that we could have started another renovation project, but we've ended up at the moment we've got half a type build in one house. Another cottage is actually used for one of our workers who's been with us for the last 6-7 years. And the other 2 are just being rented out at the moment. But one of them could potentially be a possible new farm worker. So it's mainly just, farm workers and then renting out at the moment. Yeah.
It's such an amazing story. And I love the fact that, your husband's grandma years ago was way, way before her time with using it in that sort of farm stay and renting out capacity. If you could imagine you in a different part of Australia, so say in regional or rural Queensland, and there's a young mum that husband's working super hard on the farm under really tough conditions in most of our country right now, and they're looking around and they've got an old barn or they've got an old workers' cottage that hasn't been used for decades, and if you could give them any advice, maybe 3 practical tips of what you wished you knew, what you wished you did, or what you did and was absolutely amazing to be able to be in your position in a couple of years' time, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I have to think really hard now.
I know, I'm sorry. It's just such an inspiring story because I tell you what, in my line of business, in education and training in the design and renovation space, which is what I do pretty much every day. The example that you've talked about is one of our biggest examples of our students and the people that I get to work with. They've taken a break from what they thought was their main career. They're raising a beautiful family, but they still want to contribute. They still want to be fulfilled. They still want to transform things. They still want to be active in their minds and their heart and their hands. And so
yes.
it's just like your story, I think, would be resonating, with thousands and thousands of listeners going,
yes.
wow, it's such a story that I think so many women or men that are at home on parental stay would resonate with. So, yeah, I'd love to, or maybe what do you wish you did differently? Let's start with that one. We'll open up with that one.
Well, yeah, first of all, I'd just like to say that when I first came, because I'm from Denmark, I probably saw, especially this homestead and this family, generation of farming properties especially all over Australia. I see it with a totally different eye, and I was just mesmerized by the house and the history and
wow.
the beautiful. I love the verandas and the styles, and I just personally fell in love with the house and knew what potential it actually had. And I think I just instantly thought, oh my God, guests would just love to come here, enjoy the view with the Western Tiers as a background, because I don't have any mountains where I come from. I just look at them and adore them every day. Pretty much the same as what people would do, if they don't live near the coast, they would adore, the waves or watching the beach. So I just knew, guests would love to come and stay here, and we just had to do something about it. And I guess it was a bonus. The house was so big that we could do something about it. There's room for everyone.
Do you know what I find really relevant about what you were just saying there is one of the things that I noticed with so many people that may have been in your situation, or that situation I just described of, the mum living in a rural part of, say, central Queensland, is you had very fresh eyes. And I think that's something that so many of us don't have when it comes to our country, especially when we might have lived on the land for a really long time, or grown up in the homestead, or our grandparents grew up in the homestead, and we just see it as the veranda that creaks, or the veranda that posts aren't straight, or the veranda that really needed oiling 6 years ago, and the mountains that we played in as kids. Like we don't see it with your beautiful fresh eyes. So I think that is such a valid point, that, you saw it from the eyes of a visitor.
Yes. And also, I'm from a farm myself, even where I came from in Denmark, but in particular, guests from, the larger cities, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, anywhere where they live, and even guests that come from Singapore, who never ever normally see the stars. They're just mesmerized by being outside. They get to see, animals close up. We've got lots of chooks. We've got lambs at the moment, pet calves, and ducks roaming around. And they just love, and especially families, with younger children who aren't brought up in this environment, they just love to come here and watch them from their window, go out and pet them and even feed them food scraps. They even get to pick apples from our trees, or herbs and vegetables, whatever we have an oversupply of. We encourage that they do come and, help themselves with their cooking for breakfast or lunch or dinner.
So it's truly the experience of living on a farm.
It is, very much. And just the fact they get to roam our whole garden. We even have a trampoline, a fort for the children. They just love that they're able to let their kids explore. I've even had a family come and stay, and their kids were so happy playing with mine on the trampoline that they said, oh, do you mind if we just leave them here? We'll just go into, 6 kilometres into Longford to do some grocery shopping. I said, that's fine, just leave them there. They're happy. And I think the parents generally enjoyed that, their kids were just so comfortable, and, they could just roam around as they wished.
That's actually a freedom that we don't often have in the cities.
Yes.
Very much so. That's definitely a freedom that We don't often have. There's not many forts, forts and jumbo trampolines and, groups of children that they can sort of roam around with when we're in the city. So I can see how that would be so appealing. It reminds me, to be honest with you, what Cressy House Estate feels to me like its offering is, there's this massive pull towards from fast food to slow eating, from fast living to slow living. And it sounds like one of the things, apart from the beautiful views and the beautiful home, the amazing styling and the animals that you offer people that come to stay with you, is that true essence of slow living. As in we pick our vegetables, we pick our fruit, we care for our animals that give us produce. So it's that whole going from online shopping, online calendars, a million things happening at once, to actually being present in everything that you do.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And it is just a peaceful environment where people can just totally relax. And I must be honest, even though that sounds like such a cliche, but most guests that come here, they all go, oh, can we cancel the next couple of nights of accommodation, wherever else they may be going, because they really just want to stay here, or they wish they had more than one night or two. And even the kids are just often, the parents have to push them back in the car so they can move on with their holidays.
No.
Because they just don't want to leave the place. So
well, that is a tidy problem to have. That is, isn't it? That is a good problem to have.
Yes, I'm definitely not complaining, that's for sure.
Now, back to that tough question.
Yes.
If you could give someone 3 pieces of advice, as simple, they could be one-worders, they could be anything you wanted that was maybe in your situation previously, or dreams to be in the situation you're in now, what would those pieces of advice be?
I would say don't hold back, give it a go, and have fun with it.
Have fun. I love that.
Yes.
Have you had fun the whole way?
Sorry, to the question when you said, what do I regret? I probably regret that I didn't start earlier, that I didn't start on the renovation earlier. Yeah.
What was it that held you back? Do you remember? Because I know it was a long time ago now.
Yes, it probably would have been because we overtook the property, or we sort of swapped houses with my parents-in-law. We had a lot of work ourselves that needed to be done, throughout the house, and the garden. The garden is about 1 hectare, so it's quite large. So we needed to do a lot of work, elsewhere before we could start focusing on the next little project.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, you're making me fall in love with the idea. I was only in Tassie this year. You're making me fall in love with the idea of coming back. I have 4 kids, and I tell you, between your 3 and my 4, that tramp would be very crowded.
Well, you'll be mostly welcome, that's for sure. So
thank you.
You give me a call next time, or you can even follow us on Facebook or Instagram as well.
Oh, I'm all over your Instagram because there's so many cute animals. I can't not be over it. And one of the things that I love most about your Instagram, Margit, is that it is really obvious that you are a true working farm. It's very much not over-curated to make sure that it's Instagrammable. It is very obvious to me and really authentic that it's your life on that Instagram, which I love.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm so grateful that I can only imagine that being on such a large working farm and having such a successful farm stay business, you are flat out. So I'm really, really grateful that you've been able to spare the time today to not just talk to me, but to inspire all the people that might be sitting on a similar homestead or a similar farm to you, and make them realise what might be possible if they have that hankering. So if someone wanted to stalk you on Instagram or find out more about you to come and stay, how would they do that?
So they can either visit our website. Our website is www.cressyhouseestate.com. Or they can also follow us through Facebook and Instagram. Again, we're just called Cressy House Estate Farm Stay. They can send me an email anytime through our website. They'll find all the details on our website. We also feature on Airbnb and in the book, and also website on Tailored Tasmania, if anyone's familiar with that.
My gosh, there's a lots of ways we can find you. And on that note, A massive thank you, Margit. I'm so grateful, and I'm sure when we get lots and lots of questions, we're going to have to get you back so you can answer them for all the listeners.
Would love to. Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you, Margit.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining me today, guys, on Reno Radio. It has been a blast. I would love it if you subscribed so you never missed a beat of this podcast. And naturally, let me know what you think. I love to hear everyone's feedback and reviews. If you'd like to know more about all the services and content that we produce at naomifindlay.com, then head on over to naomifindlay.com. You can also keep an eye on what I'm up to on my Instagram. You can find me there at Naomi Findlay Official. Until next time, team, enjoy.